All right, now to one of the guys said to be on Donald Trump's short list, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. General, good to have you.
Thanks for having me, Sandra, and good to see you.
All right, well, you are out with a new book, The Field of Fight: How to Win the Global War Against Radical Islam and Its Allies. It's good to have you, and you are on that short list, General. Donald Trump meeting with Mike Pence, as you just heard, and Newt Gingrich today. Has he or will he be meeting with you, sir?
Well, let me just tell you, that, Sandra, that I'm deeply honored to even be in the consideration of everything going on right now. I think for Donald Trump, this is a really critical strategic decision that he needs to make, and I feel for him. I know this has got to be incredibly difficult, so he'll come to the right decision for what's best for this country and to get him into the White House, him and whatever team he brings with him into the White House. So you know, God love him. I mean, I give him all the credit in the world, and whatever decision he makes, I know it's what's best for this country.
All right, so are you meeting with Trump, or will you be meeting with Trump in the next day or so?
I have my running shoes on right now, Sandra, and I'm doing a bunch of things with the media to promote this book that we have out this week. I mean, obviously the timing for this book is great, so I appreciate the question, but at this stage, you know, we're doing all we can to get the word out on this message. So.
All right, and so, General, going back to sort of at the peak of the speculation that you are on Donald Trump's short list and being considered for his vice president, there was, of course, that interview Sunday morning where you did express a pro-choice stance on abortion. You had since clarified. You came on Fox News on Monday, and you said abortion should be a legal issue. What has been the response, considering the backlash that you did receive from conservatives on that? What has been the response up till now?
Yeah, I'll tell you that there are more people that are concerned about the national security challenges that we are facing, everything from illegal immigration to the economy that's just not growing the way it needs to grow, and of course the threats that we face both in the homeland and around the world. So, you know, honestly, the response that I've gotten from a lot of people has been generally, hey, look, we have bigger issues to worry about. But it doesn't mean that those aren't important. It's just we have different priorities that our country has to get straightened out. And then, you know, the first thing to do, Sandra, is we have to win. And once we win, then we can make other decisions, particularly about the Supreme Court of the United States. Very, very important. And
I want to get to that chapter on your book in just a minute, How to Win, because I learned a lot reading that. But as we do continue, you know, it's a minute-by-minute, hour-by-hour wait to see who Donald Trump does name.
Sure.
You are a registered Democrat. You are further to the left than anybody else on that short list. Why do you think Donald Trump has been considering you, because you are so different from the others on that list?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you know, people can put whatever label they want on me. I'm not a guy who's cares much about labels. I was a great soldier. You know, I served this country a long time, and I think that one of the things that the various parties that exist, they have to recognize that there is an undercurrent in this country that wants leadership. They want leadership, leadership, leadership. And so going forward, and I think that's why that Donald Trump is so attractive to a lot of people in this country. So I think what's happening is there's this move going on in the country and this undercurrent, and people don't really care about the labels. What they care about is their security. They care about the homeland. They care about their jobs. They care about this problem that we do have called illegal immigration. These are really important issues.
All right.
That's what people care about.
Well, you bring up immigration, and there is one person who is critical, certainly, of Donald Trump. He has been all along, and he did make a run at the presidency as well, and that's Jeb Bush. I want you to hear what he had to say about Donald Trump and his plans as far as immigration and the wall, and I want to get your response. Here it is.
Great.
The tragedy of this, though, is that there isn't going to be a wall built, and Mexico's not going to pay for it. And there's not going to be a ban on Muslims. None of that is, this is all like a alternative universe that he created. The reality is that's not going to happen. I think people are going to really feel betrayed.
General, your response.
Yeah, so very quickly, I would tell you that I don't know Jeb Bush. I've never met him. He's probably a really nice guy, but he's totally wrong. He is absolutely wrong. And I think that for many in the sort of quote-unquote establishment, they really have to get a grip on what it is that they want for this country. And frankly, Donald Trump won the candidacy for the Republican Party. Let's get on board and let's help him win. That's really what this is about.
Well, and other problems that this country continues to face is our police forces. We spoke to the Detroit police chief yesterday on this show, who said he himself has received death threats, as well as officers in his department.
Yeah.
There is certainly a problem. There are protests going on in cities across this country. What is your take on this? Do you have a solution, sir?
Well, here's my answer to your great question. America's role in the world is one where people have always seen us with enormous respect for something called the rule of law. And the rule of law in this country provides us a strategic advantage over the rest of the world. And when there's no respect for that rule of law, and I think that's partly what we're seeing right now. So our law enforcement professionals, they need our support. They need our complete support, undying support. The rule of law in this country cannot break down. We cannot allow it to break down. And we need big leadership to make sure that we continue to press that message and not allow these organizations that are essentially creating a sense of anarchy in some cities in our country. We can't have that. We can't have a breakdown of law and order. It would be disastrous for this country.
And as far as the Black Lives Matter movement, Donald Trump says Black Lives Matter is dividing America. What is your take on it?
Yeah, I'm not a labeled person here. This is about what's right and what's wrong, what just makes good common sense. And what makes good common sense is follow the law, do what is right. If you want to peaceably protest and you want to do it and you want to shout as loud as you want, fine, but follow the law. And our law enforcement professionals on the streets, police officers, cops, whatever you want to call them, they have to be respected by the communities around this country. And right now, they have a sense that they're not being respected for basically taking on a responsibility that sacrifices their lives for us. All
right. In general, there's a piece in the Washington Post today. It says, inside ISIS, quietly preparing for the loss of the caliphate. The piece details the Islamic State is quietly preparing its followers for eventual collapse of the caliphate it proclaimed with great fanfare 2 years ago.
Yeah. So I think what we have to recognize is that the ideology that we are facing is global. And we've seen in the last 30 days, actually less than the last 30 days, attacks globally. This is how they respond to us. They have the strategic initiative right now. If they lose a little bit of tactical turf in Fallujah or Raqqa, Syria, Fallujah, Iraq, that actually is as irrelevant as anything I can imagine. This ideology is deeply embedded, and there are thousands of people that follow this ideology, and they continue to encourage these people to join it. So it's a global problem. We have to deal with it globally.
In general, you have been very outspoken about your disappointment in the administration's handling of this war and our tactic and strategy. And in your book, you have a chapter called How to Win. And it was fascinating because you said there is no escape from this war. We will either win or lose, and at present we look like losers. You went on to say our enemies will press hard to gain every possible advantage before a new president takes over. That's a very scary thought, General, for the next few months.
Yeah. So the comment that I would make about that, and it's addressed in the book to a degree, we are actually the best enemies because we continue to telegraph to our enemies exactly what we're going to do. As recent as a couple of days ago, where the Secretary of Defense telegraphed that we're going to send another 500-plus soldiers into Iraq. I mean, why do we tell our enemies what it is that we're going to do? I mean, we shouldn't. Did bin Laden tell us that he was going to fly planes into the Twin Towers and into the Pentagon? I mean, no. So we have to be a little bit more unpredictable in how we operate, and I believe that we have telegraphed too much, too often, as to what it is that we're going to do. I address some of that in the book itself, and one of the big things is we must face the fact that this radical Islamism, we have to discredit this ideology, we have to attack the doctrines. Words matter. Words matter in this war that we are involved in.
Well, and to your point, General, sometimes we're telling the enemy too often what we won't do or what we're not willing to do. That being said, you have met with Donald Trump, obviously, on multiple occasions, considering you are at on the short list for his possible vice presidential pick. Have you spoken directly to him? Has he asked your advice on this matter, on how to fight ISIS?
Well, I spoke to Donald Trump as long as a year ago, actually, and been providing him advice off and on, some cases weekly, certainly prior to debates, things like that over the past year. I've given him a copy of the book, and I have provided him information and ideas on not only this, but on things like China, things like transnational organized crime, things like cyber, things like Russia. We have a range of challenges that we are facing, Sandra, and we're not taking that leadership role that we should be taking as the United States of America.
Good stuff. General Flynn, thank you very much. Your book, The Field of Flight. It's a great book. A bit in Field of Fight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
there it is,
okay.
right
Field
there.
of Fight. That's good.
But great job, General. Good of you to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Thanks for the time.
All right.